It's always a good thing to have pants on if you're going to be live on the internet.
And we are live. With that entry, welcome to Foreign and Domestic. All right, we will get started as usual fashion. We will head over to Alan B. Pro. What's up, brother?
Oh man, thank you, Scotsman. It's been an absolutely insane week for me. One of the girlfriend's kids has graduated, and so the graduation week is finally over. And had the ceremony today, and I'm thankful that is done. It's just been an absolutely insane week for me. The participants list right at the moment has a BEM Freedom out there, Big Al, Bigger Behind the Trigger, Croc Creek Shooting, Edward Petty, Fuzz Fork 8, Gunpowder Beauty, JH586 here in the room. Josh Benware, the giant shill himself, is out there. Just kidding, Josh. Kingpin here in the room. Michael Signs, Mountaineer Marksman, NEPA Gun Talk, the Philem River also here in the room. Pro Carry Trucker, well, look at that, and Robin Jones, Scott P79, the one, the only Shalisa Shill. Loving the mushrooms there, Shalisa. The thoughts of an unknown soldier, or thoughts of an old soldier. Excuse me. That's the participants list. I'm positive that's not everybody out there. Chico Wise is supposed to be here in the room. I think he's not up and rolling as at the moment. OL1 guy out there. Good to see a few new names out there. Good to see some new names.
Awesome. Good deal. With that being said, would you like to start us off in true fashion?
Absolutely. In true fashion, we will go ahead and start out with this.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A couple of words in there that I want to point out is one, the use of the word God and the use of the word republic. So if you didn't happen to hear that, listen to it again and specify that there's a couple of words in there that need to be reminded about sometimes.
Very much so. All right, so tonight we'll start with Insight Freedom. What's going on, brother?
Just rolled up, got on the computer several times. So I'm on, and I wanted to clarify, since Alan is Tinder famous, that is one of the girlfriends, like apostrophe S and not S apostrophe, son graduated. Just to be clear about that, so nobody has any confusion about girlfriends plural. It is girlfriends singular apostrophe S.
Yeah, well, apostrophe does indicate ownership, but I do endorse people having, well, girlfriends are typically like tires on a car. You want to run 4, keep one as a spare in case one blows up.
That we'll go with.
That's a good way of putting it. Well, let's see. Jamie, what's going on, brother?
Not much. Obviously, Alan's better half is not around this evening. He wouldn't be talking like that. Been watching Scott's video of the snowflake melter, man. I'm jealous. That's pretty cool stuff. Been a tough week, but I'm glad it's the weekend. We might get into some of that later if y'all want to, but thanks for having me on, man. And thanks to everybody for tuning in and watching us.
Absolutely, man. Always a pleasure. Kingpin.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully everybody's doing well.
Absolutely. Philly, you out there? Maybe. All right, we'll move on. Fireside Coffee. What's up, brother? Hit your mute button.
And Fireside is still muted.
Got to
Still-
unmute. Man.
My bad.
There you go.
Darn rookies. Anyway, here's my plug on the Pennsylvania Pale Ale. Good stuff.
All right, good deal. Daniel, what's going on, brother?
Oh, hey, just got back from a graduation party. It's like a month and a half, nothing but graduation parties.
You too, huh?
Yeah.
That's where Alan just came from.
How you
Yeah,
guys doing?
I had to hightail it, Daniel. I had to hightail it from a graduation ceremony myself to be able to make it onto the show. So, yeah, it's been a crazy week with all the graduations happening.
Yeah, same time every year. Usually got a good month and a half solid. So what's all going on tonight? Hey, thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Phil, you good to go now?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I lost audio, video. I lost everything here for a second. Then it came back, and there was two of me there for a second. But I think we're back, and thank you for having me. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with my computer or my internet.
All good. Always good to have you, man. Kiko Wise, Dirty South.
Hey guys, thanks for see my handsome mug in about 5 minutes. I'm almost done casting, so thanks for having me, and I'm excited to be here as always.
All right, good deal, man. Cast away. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, we've had quite a few others jump in the side chat. Mountaineer Marksman, Thomas Pickering, loads of bacon. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Scott F, Backyard Gardening, Jesse B Outdoors. I think I did mention Michael Signs, but you know, signs, they're everywhere.
Very, very true. So, Scott, your snowflake melter, is it done? All the way done?
Yep, it's done. It's done and being tenderly loved, caressed, exploited, redone, recleaned. I might sleep with it. I mean, you never know. It was leaning up against the side of my bed for the first couple of nights until I got to really go out there and see what it could do. So I just don't want it to feel neglected, but I did bring the others out to be with it, you know, so they're all happy right now.
Awesome. Is there any parts you're going to change out? I know you were having some issues getting some parts.
Not got everything. The issues really came in, you know, some delays on shipping and stuff like that. I haven't dealt with Optics Planet in a couple of years. And for some reason this time they seem to have kind of changed their configuration. And I think I've narrowed it down to what they're doing is they're drop shipping some items. One of the orders I made had 3 different items on them. 2 of them had an origin of Wisconsin instead of Illinois. So that leads me to believe that while they have them on their site and they show them in stock, they're in stock somewhere else and they're drop shipping them. And thanks to FedEx and their wonderful way of carrying things all the way to Mississippi and then back up to me, it took a total of 10 days. And I'm testing that right now because I ordered one of those things was the C Products magazine. I ordered another magazine from them along with a couple other things so I could get the free shipping again. And those were ordered Thursday. At this point, they're still showing on order on my app and their site. So I have a feeling that's exactly what they're doing. They're drop shipping. So nothing burns me up more than when a site shows that they have something in stock and they really don't.
I'm pretty sure you're right because the last the lineman that I ordered before, and the single stage press that I ordered too. Both of those came from Optics Planet, and both of those came from different places, and took at least 10 days.
Yeah, that's I'm pretty patient, and when I was ordering the barrel and all of this stuff there, I told them, I said, listen, I want quality. I want something I can develop over time, and I'm not as interested in the speed. Just don't tell me it's going to be here in 3 or 4 days, and then it takes 2 weeks. Tell me what it's going to take, and I can live with that. And both the others were better about communicating that I dealt with. I did order one other thing. The bipod came from Amazon, and that was the normal couple of days it was at my door. So, but I just want communication. When I ask a question, reply to it. Don't not reply to it. So, to me, that's all I ask for in customer service. Stand behind it and communicate with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see you're wearing a particular shirt there.
Yep, this one today. It's been our brother Be Like Ed all weekend. I literally wore that shirt all weekend. It needed to go in the dirty clothes, so got our other brother, the cowboy brother, on today. So he's been traveling back from East Tennessee with me.
Good deal. Reason I mentioned that is he did make an update video this morning, and he is struggling a little bit to pay the bills. So I'm not a fan of Patreon. However, he doesn't want to do a GoFundMe or anything like that. So in the description down below, there is his Patreon link. If you guys are able to go over, help him out a little bit, trust me, it'd be appreciated. Seems to be doing okay health-wise. He's just trying to catch up with those bills.
Well, and I don't know if, and I really hesitate to say this, if Patreon is an answer to a problem that we've seen with some of the work that we've done before, Scotsman, where there's fundraisers being done and it's going to particular people's PayPal accounts. PayPal now is being kind of asshats about such things. So I don't know if Patreon is an avenue that can be utilized for those types of efforts or not.
I'm not sure. I'll tell you that I know Eric is having a lot of problems with PayPal right now. But I got something in the works. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, though, in case he's watching.
Bad.
Don't say a word. So, how is the, you two had graduations going on. How are those?
Well, the graduation that I attended, it's small town Iowa. The entire graduating class was 45 students. And this is something I'm really, really not accustomed to. Way back in the day when I graduated, there was only 1 or 2 high schools in existence back then, but that there was over 300 in my graduating class. And so having 45 kids graduating in this one class was kind of unique. The ceremony was interesting. It lasted entirely too long, in my opinion. But it's still kind of crazy with all the different graduation parties and so forth going on about all that.
Oh, well, the one I went to today, it was just the party. The graduation ceremonies are all starting this week. And the one thing is, like, my daughter goes to joint vocational school, so they're having a graduation there over at the college, and then another graduation ceremony at the high school the next day. So you got one at night and the next one the following morning. And then every Sunday, Saturday and Sunday here out through June, it's just like one right after another. Boom, boom, boom. And now that I don't drink and times have changed, graduation parties just are not the same.
Yeah, my son graduates this year, and Wednesday night he takes auto tech and votech, and they have a graduation for that. I guess they call it a senior night, but technically it's a graduation. And I said they never had that when I was in school. You know, you have one graduation and done.
Mm-hmm.
I work for a school system, and we have way too many schools for the number of kids that we have in our county. So when Alan talks about 45 kids being graduated, typically we got 4 high schools here in Floyd County. Well, 5 if you count the city schools. But I work for the county school system. There's 4 high schools, and typically they'll graduate somewhere between 70 and 150 kids. Whereas if you had like 2 high schools, you'd have graduating classes of between 200 and 300 kids. But I think what we're going to be seeing in the future as education and time progresses, we're seeing more and more classes being done online. And I think the class sizes are going to get smaller. I think schools in general are going to be the number of rooms, the size of the campuses, and all that kind of stuff. I think all that's going to be going down. But you will always have a school for the sports, because the sports is not going away. Football, high school football in the state of Georgia and Tennessee and Texas and Alabama and Florida is never going away, no matter what. But I heard an interesting quote, and I want y'all to expand on this in the side chat in the room. My job is I work on Chromebooks, and we're seeing more and more of our curriculum done on computer and IT. But one of the ladies who's an instructional technologist that's about to retire had a great quote at our last meeting, and she says, any teacher that can be replaced by a computer program should be.
As long as they're not sponsored by YouTube.
Well, and I would definitely disagree with that. Humans learn in many, many different ways. Some learn visually, some learn audioly, some have to have hands on. So that varies from person to person to person. And a computer program isn't going to be able to detect that, isn't going to be able to pick up that a student is struggling because all of the learning material is written word and they're having to read it and how much they comprehend, or all of the learning material is video. And so they're having to learn things audioly when they're a hands-on kind of student. I think it takes a physical educator that understands how humans learn, to be able to contour the curriculum a little bit to make sure that all of their students understand the material.
But Alan, you're falling for the trap. That's exactly my point. What she is saying is that any teacher who can be replaced, who don't have those qualities that you were just talking about, any teacher that can be replaced by a computer program should be. In other words, she's telling teachers, step up your game or go find another line of work. So that's the point. You had to think about her comment for a little bit, but yeah, you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head right there, bud.
Here in Ohio, they have this one program where the state will pay half for a high school if a school system wants to build a new school. In my wife's hometown, few years ago, they put up a new high school, and well, it's 1 through, it's kindergarten through 12. And this, at that time, it cost 56, excuse me, $56 million. Do you know how many was in their graduating senior class last year? 12. $56 million to pump out 12 students per year.
Just
And
like I always said.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
And I said that I was just saying, and the state paid for half of that.
Mm-hmm. The state paid for half. The county's got to come up with the other half. And in the area where it is, the town and everything, they're under the financial watch list because there's not enough people there paying taxes to keep up with the payments. People are moving out in droves. They raised the taxes so much. I mean, even though it's a new school, people don't want to pay the taxes to live there. Where I'm at, the two school systems are side by side in this other area. They should combine because when I graduated, there was 77 in my graduating class. And now you're looking at each one of those schools is maybe 45 or 50 in each one. If you're going to if you're going to go and build, and they've tried to get that bill passed to build a new school here also. But if they do that, I mean, they should just combine the two systems, but they won't because too many teachers and faculty and stuff will lose their jobs.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Another way that the state won't have a hold on you either, because like they always say, the American dream's to own a home, but you'll never own it. If you don't pay your school taxes, they're going to take it as soon as they can. So.
Well, our school system's in a similar predicament, Daniel, and the fact that one of the schools we have what we call the SPLOST, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, and it was voted on. They voted to build a new school at Scott. You might know our Murchie High School, just north of Rome. So they voted to build this new school, and then we've got this problem where the enrollment is continuing, and our whole system is continually declining. We're looking to merge schools, and that would be one that would be merged into another. And so we've the electorate has passed this bill or passed this special purpose local option sales tax to build this school, and now how can we back out from that? I mean, you guys are more political than I am, but that's where we're at right now.
So you're merging with another school, and you in your system already voted on and passed to build a new school, and the other school is not obligated to pay for it.
Well, it's a county school. We've got 4 high schools. Our enrollment is declining all over the county. People are leaving this county, and the people that are staying are having less kids. Our enrollment's down probably close to 2,000 kids, K through 12, and we're lawfully obligated to build this new school, even though the administration and the school board is looking at the possibility down the road of merging schools together. And I don't know where that meshes. Y'all deal with that. I know it's a little tough, isn't it?
Sounds like you might want to jump on that wagon train moving out of the county.
All right, let's move on to a lighter subject. We had a question out there from the side chat. A very good question, actually. I got a couple of them. We'll start with the first one. Chico was just casting bullets. The question was, would you buy cast bullets from someone else that makes them? And we can kind of talk about that because a lot of us don't buy them from each other. A lot of us just send them to each other. And You know, Jamie sent me a bunch. Kyle sent me a bunch. Chico sent some out. So many other people have, and various people, and I got no problem shooting them. You know, if the quality is good, you know, I got no problem shooting them whatsoever.
I could jump in there real quick on that. Seeing how I don't reload yet, and I definitely, since I'm not reloading, I don't cast. I would trust you guys to buy your stuff because I'm familiar with you guys. I've seen your videos. I've heard you talk for on and on, endless conversations about the intricacies of reloading and casting. But as far as a stranger, like if I met a guy at the range and he was like, "Here, I got these cast bullets," no way.
Yeah, I think for me, the obviously the first bunch of rounds that I reloaded with and that I shot were both from Chico and from Jamie. And I think that's right. There's some guys that I would trust, but in general, when we start talking about casting and coding, you can really mess up on coding, and I'm not really interested in cleaning up a mess if somebody didn't code and resize properly. So that's just one thing to consider. But yeah, there's a lot of guys, and there's everybody in this chat down here and all the Georgia Shooting Connection, all of those guys. I would trust all of them with what they do for sure. But in general, I would have some caution with it just because of the coding process.
I think the other part to that too is if we were at a gun show or something like that, probably not, because number one, I don't know what kind of lead they used or what's in there exactly. You know, is it a combination? What is it? It's hard to know. Like with any one of these guys right here, I can ask them and they can tell me exactly what they put in there and what it's all supposed to be. I can trust that. I can't trust what's on a label from someone at a gun show.
Yeah, something like that. You definitely want to buy what's on the shelf at the gun shop. But if you got buddies like Scotsman, you're reloaded, and I'm sure I'll be shooting some of your reloads here sometime when the weather gets nice and hot.
Yeah, we'll get there, man. We'll get there. I just picked up the 45 mold too, so we're gonna be doing some 9 and some 45.
Yeah, just get through all these graduations. But yeah, before I would buy anything at a gun show, I would just go pull it off the shelf at the gun shop.
It's funny y'all should bring that question up because I'm sitting here as we're talking and I'm mulling through the ones I cast yesterday. This is a 135 grain. You also notice that I'm wearing gloves. I don't like touching my bullets before they're powder coated with my bare skin, but this is 135 grain 30 calibers, 311, and I'll powder coat it and size it. But this one's okay. It's not some of my best work, but that one will do, as opposed to just pick a random cull up. This one won't do. You see the lines on the, can y'all see those lines?
Yeah, a little higher. Pick it up higher. There you go. Lower. Right there. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not shooting that. And when you start getting that one there, you see the base? Can you see how the base looks kind of, the base is not filled out. I won't shoot that, and I won't let anybody else. That one can cause leading. But I'm sitting here doing quality control on my cast bullets as y'all asked this question. But I think one thing I need to point out to you guys that are thinking about buying some manufactured lead bullets, and Chico, you can expand on this as well. Basically, the bullets that you buy from people like Acme and Berries and stuff like that are coated some way, I think most of those bullets are swaged and not cast. Would that be correct, Chico? Chico can't hear me.
Yes, I believe that is correct. Those big companies that produce a lot because I able to sell them at the price that we get them at. Yeah, their tools are a lot different than what you and I or anybody else would use. So our process is a little tedious, but that's what you get quality in it. And like Jamie said, I'm going through quality control right now. I just got finished casting, and I'm going through and pulling out any reject, and that's gonna happen probably with any company. But like Scotsman said, I'd be weary of buying stuff because I wouldn't know the lead content, and I don't want to happen to put some zinc in my pot and ruin my pot and 20 pounds of lead, which it may not sound like a lot, but it can ruin your day and your equipment.
Yeah, that's our worst nightmare. But yeah, when I say swaged, I mean they take a piece of lead, ever how thick, a sheet, and then just stamp the bullets out, which is for commercial type stuff. I can see that's pretty good. I mean,
Hey, Scotsman, I didn't see who asked that question.
That was Warthog 71.
Okay, I was trying to find it out, but good question though.
Yeah, it was way back up there. I wanted to make sure we got to the question. I did actually get a message from someone about this topic, more so of actual reloads themselves. He actually bought some reloads from a friend, sent me a picture of his Glock in pieces. Actual reloads, yeah, it's kind of tough. I'm not a fan of buying reloads. But again, like any one of the guys on here, I would trust their reloads. You know, I've shot Daniels and that before, never had a problem. I've shot a bunch of Kyles, Chicos, and all that. I don't have an issue with those guys because I know if something was to happen, they would take care of the issue. So, but as far as buying reloads from someone, probably not.
No, shooting other people's reloads can be kind of leery, a little leery about, unless you know the person and you know what that they're up on their game. I did once shoot some of Robin Jones's reloads, but I did shoot that in her weapon. So they weren't rolling through one of my weapons, at least. And if that thing was to go kapooey, hopefully it would be just the left hand and not the right.
Hey,
I wouldn't trust buying reloads at a gun show.
Fuzzfork had a really interesting observation. He asked if everyone had noticed that all the guys that are starting to use Dillons are going bald. Is there something to do with the blue finish of the Dillons that's making people go bald? Just a question.
Well, I don't use a Dillon, but I was bald before I was reloading.
what kind of press you use, Daniel?
Oh, Hortney. I got a Hortney progressive, and then I've got a Rock Chucker single stage. But I know what caused my baldness, and I just kept waking up in the middle of the night listening to my wife giggle every time I felt a little beep come out of my top of my head.
Well, you know what? Willie's out there, and I'm sure as soon as you said Rock Chucker, he probably did a flip and started cheering and stuff. So that he is the Rock Chucker fan.
Hey, there's no other way to do your rifle loads.
Willie also has a Lee progressive. I think it's the I can't remember. I won't say.
Now there was a comment in the side chat that if it's a company that does reloads, that they will shoot those. And I know there's quite a number of companies out there that are reloading once fired brass and putting it out on the shelves. So what are the thoughts on that?
We have two companies here in Georgia that do that. West Georgia Firearms and North Georgia Reloading. And I've shot both of their ammunition, and it's not bad. Honestly, I think it's better than some of the real factory stuff that I've seen lately. I would trust theirs over some of the Winchester stuff that I've seen, particularly for the newer rounds. Like we were seeing some extremely flat primers last night from Eagle Eye Shooting. Is he out there? But I don't know how many of y'all saw that, but he was shooting 350 Legend rounds, which were the 145 Frontier line from Winchester, and they were just flat. I mean, you couldn't tell where the brass stopped and the primer started. So, particularly with new rounds, new type stuff, yeah, be careful. But we've got 2 companies here in Georgia that do that. I understand if you do. I understand if you don't.
Just curious, what's the price difference with the once fired compared to factory ammo? About? Is it a lot? Big difference?
No.
No, I was going to say it's probably been a couple of years, but I ordered 1,000 rounds of Freedom Munition 9mm and went through that pretty quickly. I want to say it may have saved me 2 or 3 cents a round or something buying the reloaded over their new loads. And I've gotten way better deals on new manufactured stuff buying in bulk than I did back then. So
yeah, if the difference is that minimal, I don't even know if I'd even worry about it. I'd probably just buy the factory loads.
Yeah, when it comes to that, I'm kind of the same way on what I can buy in bulk versus new. I'd rather buy new. But again, at this point, majority of what I'm doing is all reloads on my own, because I'm not gonna have the issues I had before with that, like the Winchester and stuff. I'm not gonna have that happen again.
Like a friend of mine used to say, nobody knows how you like it like you know how you like it, right?
That's right. That's right. I actually I went out shot yesterday a little bit, took out some of the Acme bullets, and actually finished up shooting your bullets too. And no problems whatsoever. They were all pretty accurate. So not a single problem really. I had a couple that I didn't see properly, but that's my fault.
Well, I'm glad you liked them, man.
Who gets really excited about when you find a really good deal on new rounds, like when I found the 1,000 rounds for like $150 shipped to that MagTech stuff, just because I knew I was going to get a bunch of brass.
Yeah, I shot tons of MagTech. I used to get that stuff super cheap. I couldn't tell you how many thousands of rounds of MagTech I've shot. It's a lot. But I just could get it super cheap. I shot tons of it, saved all the brass. So.
That M&P that I just won, well, Scotsman, you know about it. I didn't have any 9mm shells, so I went out and I bought some of those, and I think I paid $8.99 a box. So I didn't think that was too bad, just to start shooting a gun and see if I like it.
No, that's actually pretty good. I saw, yes, today. I actually saw some rounds. I usually see them for about $9-10 a box. This place was selling them for almost $20 a box.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm like, wow. No, excuse me. Granted, it's a smaller shop, but still, like $20 a box. That's pushing it.
What's the worst you've ever seen, price wise?
I'm gonna have to say probably that one today for what that was. Just regular Blazer brass, $20 a box. That's way up there.
Yeah, that goes for $8.99.
Yeah, that's what I ever saw it for. That's what I've ever sold it for. Is $8.99 a box. This place had it for $19.99 a box.
Yeah, but think a few years back when everything was so hard to come by and everything was so expensive. Think back a little ways.
Oh, if you're gonna go that route, 22 long rifle, man. Back when the scare was there, that stuff was way up there. I can't even remember what the prices were. People would buy it no matter what we priced it at.
It was crazy. Our department couldn't get 223 rounds at all. Could not get them. They were back ordered, and that was through like a federal or state subsidy type thing, and they couldn't get them. That was bad when they had that.
Is there any chance that they were just labeled wrong, Scotsman, or was it definitely $20 a box?
Yeah, it was definitely $20 a box.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, it was a smaller shop, but still, it's just insane.
Well, and even at the local state range, I have seen Blazer brass at $20 a box. You know, yeah, it's a little bit ways away from any other retailer. So if somebody's at the range and needing something immediately, you know, I don't think I would still pay $20 a box for Blazer. But I have as well seen it going for that.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the 223 was up there as well, and very scarce and hard to find. And again, I could price it pretty much anything I wanted to, and people would be buying it. It was nuts, absolutely insane. By the cases, if they could buy them by the case. We had limits on everything, probably close to 2 years. We had limits on everything that you could buy.
We actually borrowed 223 ammo from a neighboring department so we could qualify.
That is insane. Warthog had a question out there. I'm kind of weary of picking up range 9mm brass because I wouldn't know if it's been reloaded. Am I crazy? You know, I know that 9mm brass can be reloaded numerous times. It's a matter of checking your brass, but I bet we can get a little bit more information on this here.
Yeah, I'd say definitely. I know Chico picks up a lot of brass too, but when I go out, I'll pick it up. Doesn't bother me. The biggest thing is inspect it, check for cracks, bulges, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and usually you can feel that right on the press if you even miss it. When you go to put that bullet in, it just boop right down. Yeah, there's a bad one.
And the ever-present smiley face.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with 40 cal. But yeah, pick up all the brass you can. You'll figure it out as you're going through the reloading process.
Yeah.
Just get it cleaned real good.
And if anything else, if I'm picking up brass is worth money in the scrapyard.
Yep.
My sweeper, whenever I'm in the stall at the range, always has a backwards motion. It doesn't have a forward motion. It backward into a pile right up in the edge and then into a big bag that goes into my range bag. So I take a lot of stuff home other than what I shoot.
I do too, and I got some I need to send out.
He was asking how do you.
Go ahead, Chico.
Go ahead, Jamie. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Was
buddy.
he asking about how do you know if brass has been reloaded?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the way I found out before I started reloading. If you take a piece of brass, if you got a fingernail, everybody should have a fingernail. You take that brass, you put your fingernail right here and just take that brass. If you feel a notch, that's probably been, if you feel more than one notch, it's probably been reloaded or chambered at least twice. So that's an indication. If you feel a whole bunch of notches, it's probably been reloaded a lot of times. So it's on the right on the bottom of the would it be the case mouth? Not the case mouth. Past the, help me out, Jamie.
The case head.
The case head. There you go. I said case mouth. But you will feel it because every time that ejector ejects that brass out, you should feel a ridge, and you're not gonna be able to see it in all cases. You'll probably be able to feel it with your fingernail. If I could expound on that a little bit. Sorry cut you.
That's information gold right there, Chico. That is something that I've done before, and I totally didn't realize that's kind of what I've been doing, is feeling for how many times it's been ejected. Yeah. You know, there's times where I pull bags out and clear my weapon. I go to clean it, whatever. And yeah, it's going to get a little bit marred right on the case head. Every time you do that. And most people don't load rounds into their weapon over and over and take them out. So you can get a pretty good idea if it had been fired and reloaded and fired again, just by feeling that case head for an ejection point.
Now, well, one thing, I mean, you look at my brass on my reloads, I've been reloading that stuff so many times on that case head. It is worn where it's curved. But it's still running, it's ejecting, and I just don't even worry about it until I find a cracked one, and then it'll go into the brass scrap. I mean, that 9mm stuff, you can run it forever until it finally cracks.
Somebody was saying the other day that they have they've got 38 special and 357 Magnum brass that they've had. No, it was Nathan. He said he's got that kind of pistol brass stuff that he's had for 30 years and still uses.
I mean, as long as it picks up and feeds, and ejects, it's good. But you know, once it's cracked, it's cracked. I think that's the only failures I've ever seen in the brass.
Yeah, it just gets so hard from being worked over and over that it splits at the mouth. Mm-hmm. But Cranky had a good point about 223 brass, and the same would apply for military type 308 if you're loading that stuff too. But if you go to put your primer in there, or if you're inspecting it beforehand, if the primer goes in there real easy, in other words, if the crimp's already been removed, that's been reloaded. So it's been fired at least twice. So because first thing we're going to do is get rid of that military crimp so we can get a new primer in there. So if it's had the crimp removed, you know it's already been loaded at least once. And then you can do Chico's trick on it, fill your ejector swipes on there and tell pretty much how many times. And I think Scott's getting ready to move toward rifle, right?
That I am. I'm actually, I may have just won a new single stage to dedicate for that and depriming things. So, yeah, that's my next move for sure. Obviously. So,
have you got another press picked out?
I do. I've got one that at least is going to do until I find something a little bit more permanent. If I can pick the one up that I'm looking at it and it's a deal, then it'll be good at least for depriming down the road. But it's good enough to load rifle rounds for sure.
I've been seeing New York City Reloaders RCBS Summit. Anybody looking for a really good single stage press? I'm impressed with that one. That might be coming home with me for too long.
That brings up another good point too. When it comes to rifle, there's a lot more involved, trimming and all that stuff. So when it comes to that, what kinds of things do you recommend for trimming and all that good stuff? Because that's something I'm getting into soon too. I'm just trying to pick out what I want trim wise and everything else. I'm thinking of the Lyman Center. I've been looking at that back and forth. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, Uncle Jim's got some videos about that particular thing, Scotsman. If you want to check those out, I have the Hornady Camlock trimmer. It's sitting right here, but and I also use the Lee lock stud and case length gauge. That's the easiest way to and cheapest and fastest way, unless you're doing like bulk stuff, like hundreds of them. If you're going to do hundreds of them, I would recommend getting this Camlock or some kind of lathe style trimmer. But just for doing like 150, something like that at a time, that Lee method is hard to beat.
All right. Yeah, I've seen the videos from Uncle Jim and that, but I'm not gonna be doing hundreds at a time. It's gonna be 50 or 100.
Jesse B Outdoors has a question in the side panel. He's looking for recommendations on checking headspace for 223. What recommendations would be for a device such as thing?
Is it for an AR? If it's for an AR, don't worry about checking your headspace. Just full length size everything and run with it. If it's for a bolt action, then you need to get your Hornady case length gauge stuff and get to work. But just for a semi-automatic AR, yeah, he's saying, yeah, I would just full length size it because you don't want any hang-ups at all. You want it to function. So just full length size it every time and go with it. I don't mean to give a short answer, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but you want functionality in that weapon. If we're talking bolt action and you're going for accuracy, then we can talk about the Hornady stuff, which I have and I can show you. But yeah, just for 223 and an AR, just full length size it. Wouldn't you agree, Scotsman?
Yeah, that'd probably be the best way for an AR. I think Daniel would say the same thing as well. He does a lot of that.
Well, the term headspace is really new to me. But okay, now tell me if I'm wrong. But what you're talking about is where the bullet is just getting ready to touch the lands and grooves, as far as the length when you're reloading.
In my mind, that's not what headspace is. That's overall length. That's bullet seating depth.
Okay.
In my mind, headspace to me is the distance between the head of the case, fully chambered into the rifle, and the bolt face. There's got to be a certain amount of space right there to allow the gun to fully chamber. And then you can measure that by taking an unfired round that chambers into your weapon and measuring that, then firing a round and measuring the brass. And then you can find out what the difference is, and that's the amount of headspace you have. That's the amount of so what happens when that round goes off is that brass is going to obturate in the chamber, and it's going to start building up pressure to push that bullet down the barrel. Well, as that's happening, all that pressure is going somewhere, and it's stretching that case back against the bolt face, and that's where we get the term headspace.
Okay, because I'd look at it as fire forming the brass, shooting it. And then
Right.
I've always just trimmed it to be within a couple thousandths shorter than the max length.
I'll trim it a good bit further than that. When I'm trimming brass, I want to trim brass, and I don't want to have to trim it the next time. So I'll probably trim it 10 thousandths below and depending on the headspace of your gun, you may get 2 firings, you may get 5 firings out of it, but eventually you're going to have to trim it down again. But you're trimming off of the mouth, but where the brass is actually stretching is back at the head in what they call the web, the very thickest part of the case, which is why they call it the web. And that would be this part right here. So y'all didn't come on here to hear me give reloading lectures. Somebody else talk.
Hey, we're asking. They're asking questions, man.
Well, I got an answer. It may not be the right
We
one.
did have another one out there. Let's see. Mountaineer Marksman. Anyone seal the primers and bullet for long-term storage?
Say that again.
Does anyone seal the primers and bullet for long-term storage?
No.
When it comes to long-term storage, I have a vacuum sealer, and I'll take a few magazines, I load them up, and I vacuum seal the whole magazine. Or I'll take a bunch of rounds, dump them in, and vacuum seal it down. And I keep a bunch of stuff in vacuum seal bags. I don't know if that's gonna work or not. But for long-term storage, that's what I've currently got.
I've got ammo that's nearly 60 years old and it shoots just fine. And I've done nothing to it. No vacuum, not keeping it in ammo cans, just in a drawer, and the stuff still shoots good. As long as you're keeping it from getting wet in a high moisture environment, what they say, a cool, dry place. It works really good. But I've also done the vacuum sealer thing too, to my other ammo.
Daniel, do you remember when Scab Ugly did the test with the Ziploc bags with the ammo in them sprayed down with the WD-40? They were just soaking in WD-40 for like a year, and then he took them out to fire them to see if it had messed the rounds up. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a year. I remember that one. Yeah. It's been about a year.
So not so dry in that case, but interesting.
How did that turn out?
It worked, actually. I don't remember him having any failures with that. I was shocked.
It was smoky, but it worked.
Well, one of the things that the books will tell you to do if you have a primed case and you need to get the primer back out of it for any particular reason, like a buckled case or whatever, they'll tell you to spray WD-40 down in there and let it sit for 2 weeks before you put the decapping pin down into that live primer. So that's the reason I was asking, did it work? But I think it's Cranky that will pre-prime his cases and put them in a vacuum sealed thing and let them sit until he's ready to load them.
Yeah, the vacuum sealer trick seems to work with me. Occasionally it gets pretty wet here in my area of Iowa. I mean, I'm not in the middle of Georgia or even Tennessee. I mean, the some of the humidity levels go through the roof down there. Get out of the shower and your clean clothes are dry or wetter than you are. It definitely keeps out the humidity. Using the do not eat snack packs. Yeah, I've got those in my gun safe, in my regular just lockup cabinet. But if I'm going to keep it just for long-term storage, I go ahead and use the vacuum sealer. I know Chico has used the vacuum sealer also for transport. And that works brilliantly as well. Absolutely brilliantly, because you go to transport just projectiles or something like that, they're not going to make noise in a box when you vacuum seal them up.
I've done that, but mine didn't work out so well.
Yeah, as far as long-term storage for me, I mean, I just use ammo cans. A lot of the stuff just sits in boxes still and just, cool, dry place and no issues.
Now, if you ever
A very early question that was put out there. NEPA Gun Talk. Where would be a good place to start an AR build? And I'm taking that question as, you know, do you start with the barrel and build around that? Do you start with the upper or the lower and build around that? You start looking at building a rifle when somebody sends you a scope. Bad, Scotsman, bad. You start building around a particular part. I have friends here on YouTube that have literally built rifles because somebody sent them a roll pin set. So a good place to start an AR build, it can start anywhere.
I think he was more asking of where to look to buy parts, that kind of thing. But again, it's going to come down to multiple different factors. What's he want to use it for? What caliber is he looking at? You know, because there's a lot of places, for example, that I shop, but it's all going to depend on the caliber, the type, and what it's for, as to what is going to line up. You know, there's various different things when it comes to that.
You can find lowers on sale all the time. And all I can say is if you ever decide to build one, you might as well buy more lowers because you're going to end up wanting to build more guns.
And definitely, if it's his first one, then start with the final product. Already know what you want to have in your hand before you start buying parts.
I've been doing some thinking about building one myself, and I'm just thinking, should I just go ahead and build the lower and make it really good? Because you can buy uppers all over the place, and if as long as it's mil spec, you can slap it right onto that any lower. So if you got a lower that's really good, it's going to make the upper shoot good.
Well, and I will say that if you find an upper that is built with really good parts for a deal, and maybe where they've cut back a little bit is on a good quality barrel, running that until you're tired of it and finding a really good barrel later and just putting a really good barrel in it isn't a bad way to go either. You know, if you really want to up the quality of something, obviously the barrel's the place where you're going to get the better accuracy. But if you can find one that's good, maybe, you know, not a tack driver, but good and fun to shoot, you can always get a new barrel at some point down the road and make it a really good shooter if you've got good parts that are built around the barrel that you get.
Yeah, he said he just wants to do 223, just the first build. So, I mean, Palmetto State, Primary Arms, Davison Defense, those kinds of places always have good deals. If you don't mind spending a little bit more money, Aero Precision, you know, their lowers usually are pretty decent deals. They got some that are blams and stuff like that, where you can get the blams at a good price. Receiver sets, they do the whole thing. Again, good price, breakdown on price, stuff like that.
Yeah, those arrow matching sets are so nice. If you can pick up one of those and have a really good fit upper to lower, that's a really good way to go.
Well, and one of the thing about the arrows, I don't know if it's all the arrows or what, but one of the things about the arrows is that bolt catch roll pin. Now, if you've ever built an AR, you know that bolt catch roll pin is a bitch. But the Aero Precision makes them to where it's not a roll pin, and so it's actually screwed into place rather than using a roll pin.
Yep, you got to get the enhanced. Make sure when you're buying it, you don't get the regular. You have to get the enhanced. The enhanced is the one that comes with that piece. But that thing is awesome. Trust me, that's what I got when I started doing my 6.5 build, and that thing is sweet.
That one piece alone is like the pain in the ass when you're building ARs.
Yeah, that's where you scar up that lower every time. That's where your punch is gonna slip off that pin and make a mark. But I will agree with Daniel, and I would recommend, rather than buying stuff already put together, build it. Learn how your machine works so you know how to fix it when you have a problem. But Daniel's on the right track there about top quality, and I'll say that other than the barrel, which what Scott said, being key for accuracy, the number 2 part is your trigger. Don't skimp money on your trigger. Get you a good trigger and put in your lower, and you'll never be sorry.
Yeah. Vanessa Kitty was asking about what's a good barrel.
Again, that's a wide open question. What are you looking for? What caliber? There's so many factors that come into play there. That's open ended forever.
You can go anywhere from $150 to $1,000.
Yeah, good place to start's on Coda's channel though, because you can see just about every barrel ever made on Coda Boy's channel.
I like
Hey,
Krieger
and
barrels. I
I'll
just
tell
can't afford them.
Yeah, just clarify the Aero Precisions are really, really good stuff. I didn't have I'm not saying that there's a problem with the roll pin setup on the Aero Precisions. It just is a lot easier with the Aero Precision, as Scotsman said, the enhanced lowers where it's not a roll pin. Especially first time builders that haven't gone through that process of putting that stupid particular roll pin in. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
You have to have a starter punch, and you have to have blue tape. Do not be afraid to cover with blue tape, or you will get scratches for sure. What's that? Show me. What's Chico got? Hold it up, Chico.
Got to speak, man. Take
So
yourself.
most people agree. Whenever you can, y'all hear me?
Chico, get out the
Sorry,
stool,
my neighbor's
stand
back.
up on it,
Yes.
get closer to the mic.
All right, I'm gonna get louder. Look, most people will tell you if they ever build an AR, once you build your first AR, you will not buy an assembled AR ever. You probably won't even look at one because of the quality that you can build one for versus paying X amount of dollars for one. Now, when I did mine, a lot of people don't know this is the firearm. This is the firearm, just the lower, and this is just an old Chief Anderson. $29 is what I got it for. I bought 3 of them. So you can find them cheap, but I wanted to say that because I was at a gun show this weekend and a guy had a polymer AR. He was like, yeah, this is the best. It's $600. I was like, man, I don't want that polymer shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how light it is. Aluminum's pretty light, but when you build one, you will never buy another assembled one. I'll tell you that. So it's just an Anderson multi-caliber strip lower. That's it. You know, and like you said, Palmetto, your local gun shops will probably have them, and it's fun though. A lot of people saying we call them Legos for adults because that's what it is.
That's the Dirty South thin blue line version, right? Smart man. I like how you covered that.
Yeah, I got that serial number covered up. I don't know why I do that.
Smart.
Just because you scratched it off doesn't mean you need to cover it up. It's all right.
Yeah, I think Pops probably says it best: billet or nothing.
Or did he mean build it or nothing?
No, a billet. It's made from a billet.
Yeah, but either one works for me. So
Yeah.
For me, they need to be strong. I mean, they got to be idiot proof because if there's a chance of gouging it, I don't want it.
I gotta say that I did watch Pop's video, and I'm impressed with anybody who can think like he does and then find a challenge like the thing he shot this weekend, basically the designated marksman challenge that he shot the 3 rounds on before he had to leave and go back for his daughter's birthday. Anybody who can challenge that mind impresses me. So hats off to whoever set that one up.
Oh, good. I think Phil had to leave us. He was letting me know he's got some internet issues, so hopefully he can get that figured out at some point. But always good having him on.
Could I ask a quick question? When you guys talk about trimming brass, do you actually mean taking brass away, like cutting away an amount of brass, or is it just a shaping term that you, like what does the word trimming mean?
Cutting the end off. Removing brass.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I'm surprised with all
And I
these
want to
guys.
touch on that. And can y'all
Go ahead, Chico.
see? A lot of people don't know when you shoot a firearm or you shoot your gun, the brass grows. So, in order for a reloader, in order for you to reload that ammo, you're gonna have to get it back down to Sammy spec. Correct, Jamie?
Yes, sir. Which goes back to what I was talking
Every
about
time,
headspace a while ago. That's the reason you trim it.
all right. So a lot of people don't know. Every time you shoot it, the brass grows.
And the reason and Daniel, you can expand on this if you want. The reason you have to trim it back to keep it in Sammy specs, if it gets too long and you get the brass pinched into the rifling with the bullet, you're going to get excessive pressures, and that would be really bad. You could have a catastrophic failure at that point.
Excessive pressures, or it's going to jam on you when the bullet goes in and your bolt won't close all the way. And that's when you got to end up doing the mortar with the gun to take the bullet out. I ran into that bad here this last winter.
Well, that's a best case scenario if it locks your gun up rather than blowing it up.
One, you're just aggravated and you go back in the house and clean it up. And the other one, you get all aggravated and you go to the doctor to get your hand and fingers sewn back on.
Exactly.
Well, something that has yet to happen here tonight is a gun check, and I am very, very interested. Insight Freedom, you have that beautiful, beautiful machine sitting next to you. Can you show it off, sir? And preferably, yeah.
Like you want to fly by, right? You want to fly by. So we're going to fly it on by. And now it's officially, after today, 60 rounds, not a virgin. And loving it. Absolutely loving it. I'm having so much fun. And the ones that I didn't build that I have been changed in so many ways since I bought one AR and then built a couple of others since then. But even the one that I bought was nowhere near the way that it was when I bought it because I ended up changing so much about it over the years. So yes, fun, and build addiction. And if I had unlimited funds, I would probably be a lot like Coda Boy and doing videos every week of something that popped up out of my parts pile that I wanted to build. So yeah.
Yeah, the poor dilemmas that man has of, oh, should I build it this way or build that way? It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I just got to say, Chico, what you got? Do you happen to have a firearm near you?
Yes, sir. I surely do. These are limited editions. As y'all know. This is my CZ P07 in Dirty South Black. These are hard to get. I don't even think they're making them no more in this color. So, and it is very safe. Hence, finger off the trigger.
Very good, very good. Daniel, do they allow your old ass to have firearms anymore? Or?
Oh, yeah, even though, well, let's see here. In the Harry's holster is the SP01 tactical, and it fits perfect like a glove in my P01 outside the waistband holster. And it is very safe.
Awesome sauce, awesome sauce. Fireside, do you have a firearm near you?
I do. I always do. So this one, I thought special for tonight. I would dig this one out for Scotsman. Figured he'd get a kick out of this. This is my 1970s, I think it's 75 Charter Arms 44 Bulldog 5-shot.
Very nice.
Thought you'd like that, Scotsman.
Yep, that's a classic right there.
I'd say if Vanessa's still out there, she likes that one too. That's right up her alley.
Beautiful, beautiful. Jamie.
I'm carrying 75 CZ 75 BD, and it is safe. It's a BD because it has a decocker on the side. And I'm in the market for some grips. So I've been looking at some locks.
You can't go wrong there for sure. And having had the pleasure of shooting that one, it's a sweet shooter for sure.
I like it.
Absolutely beautiful. Kingpin, how about you, sir? Do you have firearms near you?
Yes, I've got one coming up as soon as my camera turns on.
Did you wind it today?
There we go. That's my SIG P320 full size, as safe as every firearm should be. And unfortunately, I won't have my first CZ until Friday. So next time I get to do a gun check, there will be a CZ in my hand.
We should congratulate you in advance.
It's funny. I'm getting the PO1 with the Omega trigger, and I was gonna buy the BD at the same time, but I figured if I was gonna buy both of them, I should just get the Shadow too. So I just got the PO1.
Yeah, you're not
just save up for that Shadow too. You'll be happy. That PO1 Omega you're gonna love it.
You are going to love it hugely.
Yeah, that PO1 has converted a lot of people to CZ. Nothing wrong with the P320. That was in the belt line, but once again, the standard Urban Gray P07 is back in the belt line. I carried the P320 all week, but today I woke up and went, oh, I gotta pull the Urban Gray back out. And as always, it is safe.
Well, other than having a plethora of rifles over here, I'll join you, David, in that I do have a 320 in the X carry variety that stays on my hip whenever I'm on the road just because of capacity. And yes, it is safe, as well as having 2 other magazines full at all times close by, and a Smith & Wesson Shield in the glove box just in case.
And last but not least, the Crazy Scotsman.
Just the standard Smith & Wesson Model 60 in the Harry's holster. And yes, it is safe. Very safe.
Another very, very sweet shooting revolver. God, that thing's got a great trigger on it. Woo!
Doesn't kick too bad with 357 in it either.
The one, the only illustrious Pops Quest. How long has everyone carried their current EDC? I'm taking that as the current pistol that they're carrying right now. And unlike Pops, I do alternate what I carry. And it's not recommended by some people. Some people it's just fine. Sometimes I get a wild hair and I just want to change it up. Sometimes it's about where I know I'm going to be. If I'm just running around in my little town in Iowa, I might carry the compact or even a subcompact. But if I know that I'm going into the west side of Des Moines or whatever, I'm going into a big city, I carry the one with the larger capacity. So how long? Well, the Urban Gray, you see me show that thing almost every week here, but it's been in my belt line for one day. I've been carrying the P320 most of the week.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. This guy right here, the Model 60, I mean, I've carried it on and off for a long time, but this has been my main carry for probably the last 6 months, 8 months. Prior to that, I had the Beretta on my hip at work every day for close to a year or so.
Okay, well, the SP01 was my second carry gun that I ever had. My first CZ that I bought. I carried this for over a year, and I've been carrying this now for the last 2 weeks because my P01 unfortunately had to go back to the factory.
And I've been carrying my current EDC since I think I've had it a little over a year. And as soon as I purchased a holster for it, I started carrying it. So I say probably about like 11 months. It only took me a month to decide on which holster, but that's what I carried as CZ-P07. I like it. It's a hammer-fired gun versus I was carrying a striker-fired gun. And I'm sort of like a lot of people, or like Alan was saying, I've got a car, CW9 single stack. I'll carry that if I'm feeling a little different. But mainly it's this CZ-P07 for about 11 months, Pops.
For the people who don't know, I live in the state of Maryland, so I can't carry anything.
Bumper.
So that's an excellent thing right there as well. So Kingpin, since you can't carry anything, what do you do in terms of other things you can carry?
I never leave the house. Pretty much never leave my bedroom without at least my knife with me. And then, you know, if I have to get into some type of confrontation, I'm an opportunistic person. If I have to bite you, I'm going to bite you. If I have to poke you in the eye, I'm going to poke you in the eye. But you're going to have to take it from me, whatever it may be. I'm not just going to let you take anything from me, especially my safety.
Sure. What kind of knife you carry?
When I work, I carry just a basic. What I like to do is I like to go to the gun shows and buy the 3 for $20 flippers and carry those with me during the work week. And then I just have a basic flipper Kershaw that I carry with me, like when I go out to, you know, my everyday life. So there's always at least one of those in my pocket. And then if I'm not exactly out with a knife in my pocket, there's always one very, very close by.
Well, I have 4 firearms that I rotate in and out depending on what kind of mood I'm in. But typically it's either the CZ75BD or when I need to be deeply concealed, I'll carry my Smith & Wesson Shield in 40. Still trying to figure out how to carry that 6-inch 586, but it ain't working out real well for concealed carry.
You need a shoulder rig, and yes, you can conceal it.
Or just walk with a gimp.
I'll send you some places to look.
All right.
Depending upon how tall you are, you may be able to use it like as a cane.
Well, I'm kind of short, but I'm taller than that.
Old man asked a question out there. Taurus 357 6-inch barrel that is magna ported. What's the opinions?
Come on, Scotsman.
Is
I know
that
you-
going to be for carry or not for carry? Is that just general question? Let us know, old man.
Or is he asking our advice if he should buy it or not?
That one. This is the 4-inch barrel, 4.5-inch barrel, not the 6, but I think it's fantastic. And this is the 357. So
Taurus 357 is what the first revolver I shot, and actually that's what I qualified with going through the academy. So, and I carried it for, I believe, a year and a half as my first carry gun. So I loved it.
One thing people tend to forget is that Taurus revolvers are made on a Smith & Wesson blueprint. It just loses a little in the translation.
Yeah, they don't get as much love put into them as Smith & Wesson puts in.
And the one main question on the Tauruses, if you have to have any warranty work done, how long does it take to get it back?
Well, on average, at least the last time I checked, they were 3 to 6 months. And when you call them, it is a pain in the ass just to talk to someone. You're 20 plus minutes easy just to talk to someone. So, Insight, did you say how long you carried yours for, your current carry weapon?
For the most part, since I picked this up, it's been my primary carry. I took about a month where I carried another one as I was testing a holster. But let's see, I had this at the wedding, right? You shot this when we got together after the wedding, right? So I picked that up in probably, goodness, late September sometime maybe. And it's been my primary carry except for testing one other one ever since. So sometimes when I have to go deep, I do have this though. This is lethal. That's fun. I always like doing that one where you can completely hide something behind your hand. So anyway, just for fun.
238.
Insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. 238 or 930?
It's the 238. This is one that I actually bought for my wife that I'm more enamored with than she is. I love the Mini Me 1911. It shoots great. It's actually a really good shooting little pistol. And in a worst case scenario, very deep concealment, this is such a pocketable gun. I mean, there's nothing to the size of it. So,
is that a 380 or a 9?
380.
Yeah, those are tack drivers.
Yeah, it's a really good, accurate shooting for such a small gun. It really is. Got a really nice little trigger on it with a wonderful break.
Well, I've been carrying my CZ for going on 2.5 years, but the shield not as long, maybe closing in on a year. But I swap them back and forth, like I said. So, but I think the key is to get familiar with what you're shooting and be familiar enough that you can use it if you have to, no matter how many you're rotating. That every one you rotate's one more you need to be really trained up on. And that's why I think Idaho had such a good statement, Scotsman, about he's been carrying a Browning high power since the 90s.
Yeah, and that's it. If you're gonna rotate, train with everything you're training, you're carrying. That's a big thing. And I'm kind of picky myself. I like to try and carry it in the same position at all the time, no matter what gun I'm carrying. It's gonna vary slightly, but I like to try and keep it as close to the same position as possible, because that way I have the same draw every time, regardless of the weapon. Now, obviously, that comes in a little different play when I'm carrying a shoulder rig, because now I'm going from here. But again, you train with what you're going to carry.
So would you think that it's better to be good at a bunch of different types of firearms, or really good at one specific firearm?
I mean, I would go both ways on that. It's good to be proficient with multiple types of firearms, because you never know what situation you're going to get in. You may drop yours and you have to pick up another one. You never know. So it's good to be proficient with a lot of other ones, but at the same time, if you prefer to only carry that one firearm, then it's good to be extremely proficient with it.
I tell you,
you're great with the one that you have on you.
yeah, I won't flip back into my rotation like a Glock just because of that really weird grip angle, but I'll flip around the ones that have very similar grip angles because the muscle memory is really similar. So I have one Glock and I do enjoy shooting it, but I just shoot it at the range for fun because I shoot slow with it. And it's a bedside gun. I mean, I can get on target with it, but the natural motion for me are these guns that have a really similar grip angle to them.
Well, I used to carry a Ruger 9E. It does have an external safety. All the other carry guns that I have do not have an external safety. And so typically I would carry it with the safety off, but I worked myself up in training with it to automatically flip that safety anyway. Just in the oddball case that the safety got flipped when I put the holster in my belt line that morning or whatever, it was natural motion for me to do that. Now the rest of my weapons don't have external safeties, don't have thumb safeties. So I would kind of tend to more agree with Fireside and get extremely proficient with the one that you carry. Even though I alternate the ones that I carry, now I won't carry the 9E because I don't want to take the chance on fumbling around with a safety or not fumbling around with it. I've got no reason to. I've got other weapons that I don't need to even contemplate dealing with a thumb safety.
Out here, I mean, us hillbillies, there's this old saying, fear the man that only has one gun, because they're going to know it well.
But don't fear the man with one round in his shirt pocket. Is that the rest of that saying, or?
Am I breaking up? You got one gun or one type of gun. You're not going to mess around. If you got to go between two, that's one has a thumb safety and the other gun has a hammer release, that one little second in a situation, a high pressure situation that can get you killed.
So that's why they make so many different versions of Glock, but they're all exactly the same.
That's probably true. To your point, here's a good example. So the Beretta has thumb safety, but it is a slide mounted safety that goes up versus like the Shadow 2, where it's going to be in the up position and push and rotate these guns around. You got to stop that for a second because they operate in a different manner. But again, it comes down to training. How often do you do it? What do you do? You know, again, I'm a big component of dry fire practice. I love dry fire practice because that's where you're going to learn. Once you start getting that in your brain, you know, that's a big component. But you can train yourself to get to that point where you never think about it. It's always like with that Beretta, for example, even before the trigger guard had cleared the holster, that safety's already off.
You know, and Scotsman makes a great point there too. You know, if especially like the way the weather's been lately with all the rain and stuff, you don't have to go to the range. You can dry fire in your basement, you know, in your bedroom, whatever. Practice drawing your weapon and dry firing. It's better than just sitting there watching TV and doing nothing.
Let me add on top of that, even if you do not make videos, everybody's cell phone these days have these things called a camera on it. You can video yourself drawing and see where you're making mistakes, even if you do not feel like you're making any mistake at all. Without putting yourself on video and looking at it, you might be able to find something that you're not doing properly. So I would also recommend, even if you don't make videos for YouTube, anything else, for your own experience, for your own knowledge, videotape yourself doing it.
That is an ultimate teaching tool. I mean, I do it with my daughter every week with her barrel racing lessons, just so that she can see what she's doing right and what she's doing wrong. She can go back and look at it and see what her instructor was saying and see herself doing stuff. So, I mean, I'm constantly, even when I don't share footage on YouTube, I'm constantly have a phone, a GoPro or something set up so I can go back and look at myself and see my technique and criticize it, work on it. So, yeah, that's helped me over the years a lot.
Yeah, and Mountaineer Marks makes a really good point too. If you're gonna do a lot of dry fire, if you're just gonna sit there with it all, you can also put a coin on the end of the barrel. I do that a lot on the end of the slide, because that helps you figure out your trigger pull. It helps you to make sure you're not pulling the gun one way or another. You know, that or empty case, 9mm case, 45 case, whatever. Put that on the end because you can see it move one way or the other.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wanted to mention that also about putting a coin on the barrel, and also, you know, practice your breathing and things like that.
Yeah, Cranky says that when he watches TV, that's when he hand primes, and you know, you gotta get your practice time in there too. You know, if you got to sacrifice, 10 minutes of hand priming, it might be worth the while. You know, we're as concealed carriers, we have obligations, in my opinion, to stay as proficient as we can possibly stay. And the only way to do that is through practice. Practice and training, that is.
Isn't that the true sense of a well-regulated
That's probably the best statement tonight.
Amen.
And by the way, I don't know who all in the side chat or y'all follow Die Bullfrog, Uncle Al, but he did an amazing video today about the racist roots of gun control and does a history lesson on it. And it's a worthy listen if you've got a few minutes to give him.
Yeah, that particular topic in our nation was based on race originally, and now it's still being pushed by the same political factions, but it has nothing at all to do with race anymore. I think it's really quite interesting that that particular side of the political factions, they just come up with a different excuse to continue to push their agendas.
And we got crickets. Chico, what you got going on over there, man? How's that casting coming along?
Good, brother. I'm done. I just went through my quality control. I've got, just to show you guys this. This is my truncated cone bullet. I got 235 of those, and I'm counting the round nose bullet. And every time I cast, it's probably my OCD. I want to count how many rejects I have because I want to see how good my casting session went. So 1, 2, 3. I counted 25 rejects. So I'm just going through my total count. That's pretty good out of about 400 bullets. Making your own bullets. So yeah, man, I'm getting ready to say I still got to send out some packages. I got a few guys I need to send some packages out, and a girl. She's not on YouTube. I met this woman. I didn't meet her. Well, on Instagram, she's a reloader. Reloads on a Dillon. She's like a skeet shooter or something, and she's been commenting on some of my videos and piggybacking on what somebody said earlier. She contacted me. She said, "How much for your cast bullets?" And I said, "Give me an address. I'll ship you some." I said, "I don't sell these. I just, same thing. Just like you guys was talking about. If I've got a bullet, a projectile that someone would like to try, I don't have no problem casting you some and send it to you." And I know Scotsman's the same way, Jamie's the same way, anybody else who casts, people in the side chat. Our family has helped each other out, so it's always good that we, pay it forward and help others in the future.
You say she reloads on a Dillon?
She does, yeah.
Okay, well, ask her if she has a hair loss problem.
Okay, I'm good on the hair, man. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Well, Miss Robin Jones also reloads on a Dillon, and she still has her hair, so it may just affect males only. Oh well, that would.
Oh, what are you saying about Chico?
I was gonna say, give it time, Chico. Give it time.
Yeah, I'm counting out my rejects over here too, Chico.
Yeah, quality control is necessary for just about every process and reload. Absolutely necessary. I got some rejects right here as well. So, you go through, you check again, and powder coat, check again. You never know. You can't always see them the first time until you powder coat them.
And let's try not to look at this process as a chore as much as an opportunity for you to put your hands on your stuff and check it again.
Yeah,
I agree.
You know what quality you're building when you build it. When you buy it from the store, you can kind of go, yeah, it's a name brand company. I know that they've been around for X amount of years. They've got this reputation, all these other factors to it. But do you really know exactly how that was made? When you make it yourself, you know the quality.
And that goes with your AR-15 builds as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Chico, what were you gonna say, brother?
Yeah, when they were talking about stuff you was that you buy, this is factory ammo right here, and I want to show it. I was trying to wait till a good time came out. This is factory ammo that I bought so long ago because I reload, and look at this. So a lot of people say, "Oh, reload ammo." You know, the factory is it's loaded ammo. They're doing the same thing we do, except for our quality control is a little bit more. I was mad as heck to get around because what I'm gonna do? Contact who is this? Remington and say, "Hey, I need my extra 19 cent back." You know, so I can't even use this brass. I'm pissed off. No, I'm just playing. But I
And
definitely
it happens
can't
a
use
lot
brass.
more than you imagine. I've seen that happen quite a bit over the years. And the only thing you can do is you can contact them, but do you really want to go through that hassle for one or two? You know,
So y'all can see it better. Can you see it?
The thing is you really never know. If you do contact them, you may end up with more than what you asked for.
Well, that's
Oh, I
it. The
stand
one
corrected.
time I did contact them, they sent me a whole box. So you never know.
That's Winchester. I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
That's normal for Winchester.
Yeah, Winchester's the only ammunition I have a problem with. I get cases of 40, and you can open the boxes, and it's the gray box, and you can see that all the rounds, not all of them, but there's a bunch of rounds that are different sizes. And some of them are tiny, and I'll just take them and throw them in the misfire bin at the range I go to.
Just send all
I
that
love those
Winchester
bins.
brass to Scotsman. He loves it.
I'll take the brass. I don't care. I just don't want the ammo. All right, we're kind of getting to that time. We'll start going through the room. We will start with Chico Wise, Dirty South.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me, man. I always enjoy being on here with my brothers and even my brothers and sisters in the side chat. So sorry I wasn't more active with the side chat. I was doing my quality control, but I definitely appreciate all you guys. And if you want to contact me, you can look at my videos up under my description. It'll have my email address. So thanks for having me, Scotsman and Alan, and the rest of you gentlemen. Y'all have a good night in the side chat as well.
Absolutely, always welcome, brother. Always good to have you, Daniel.
Well, hey, thanks for the invite. Sorry I was late in jumping in here tonight, but had fun. Got quite a few good topics there. And folks in the side chat, thanks, and panel. Hey, nice talking to you guys too.
All right, awesome. Fireside.
Well, thank you guys for inviting me, and I did have a great time. This was a lot of fun. And just everybody get out, train, practice. Because owning a handgun doesn't make you armed any more than owning a guitar makes you a musician. Sorry, somebody told me that once.
Awesome, good to have you, brother. Jamie.
Scotsman, thanks, bud. I appreciate being on, and I'm thankful for everybody sending us questions in, and hope I didn't talk too much, but thanks for having me. Guys on the panel, y'all have a good rest of the evening. Thanks for putting up with me.
Always welcome, brother. Always welcome. Kingpin.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. I always appreciate it. And check out everysecondmatters.com.
Cool. Good stuff. Insight.
Yeah, hey, this was fun. I enjoyed this panel. I enjoyed what I saw of the side chat. and after getting through technical difficulties, this was a fun chat. Shout out to Armin Axes, who did send me channel stickers. I haven't had a chance to thank him for those, but we kind of exchanged those a few weeks ago. And everybody out there, just remember, always be prepared.
Awesome. Good deal. With that being said, guys, thank you. Appreciate everyone showing up. Appreciate the side chat. Alan, what you got, brother?
Oh man, I hope to have a little bit slower of a week than I did this past week, but I have had an absolutely great evening tonight. The side channel or the side chat, getting some good topics out there and asking good questions. Absolutely phenomenal panel tonight. Great to see our staples. Great to see good new faces as well. Thank you everybody for showing up. Greatly appreciated to everyone. As always, keep the magazines loaded and one in the chamber.